to the 138th episode of Sawdust Nation Podcast with your hosts, Nap from Nap's Nutty Works LLC, Nick from MPG Creations, and myself, Josh from North Country Woodworking. We'll start off with saying Happy Valentine's Day to all you out there, and we love you. We really do. Thank you for listening. But without further ado, let's go ahead and toss it over to Nick and see what's happening in his shop.
Well, today was like the St. Valentine's Day massacre at work. So nothing happened in the shop today, but I am working on some stuff tonight and tomorrow to get out by Thursday. I've got a couple plaques, got a couple going away things heading out. And I really, I've got an Etsy order going out, and motivation is fleeting. It's fleeting. Yeah. I really haven't bought any tools lately because I'm at a point where if I buy more tools, I got to make more room, and I don't want to fucking do it. I don't want to do it. I'm doing what I got to do to keep the business running. But at this point, I'm kind of like at like a stagnant point. I need to find some motivation. So that's why I have everybody on Instagram to give me that motivation, I guess. But Workbench Con's coming up. You never know. I could be exhilarated or reinvigorated after that. What do you guys think? You guys think you're going to get a second wind?
So honestly, I think what's going to happen down there is, we're going to reconnect. I have noticed something within the community that's kind of disturbing me, is that it's not like it used to be. And I don't mean to take this away from you, Nick, but I'm going to dive down a rabbit hole here. Forgive me. I've been talking to some newer makers, and the community is not as welcoming as it used to be. And that's kind of sad to me, because when I joined the Instagram community, it was arms wide open, and everyone was saying it would answer your questions. They would follow you, and your posts were interacted with, and, people would interact in a good way. They'd be like, hey, we see you're doing it this way. I tried it this way and it works really well for me. And you built not only your experience to other people's, but everyone just helped each other. And it's not really like that right now. Our community is not like it used to be. So
why is it not like that?
Well, you got people just going for numbers. And like, it used to be not numbers. It used to be no matter if you had one follower or, 50,000, you talk to each other.
Who are we talking about?
No one in particular.
Community in general.
No one in particular. Oh, I was going to say, I can mention a few.
There is a few out there, and we could definitely name them. But to take it away from you, man. But that's my soapbox for today. So what else is going on in your shop, dude?
Yeah, today's episode is brought to you by the Explicit Sawdust Nation Podcast with your hosts. Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those, because like Valentine's Day is one of those days, like everyone's like, oh, I don't do anything special for Valentine's Day. Like the guys always say that, but then they get home and their wife's like, or girlfriend or significant other is like, you didn't do anything for me.
I remembered.
I did too, but my wife literally was like, if you do anything for me, I'm just going to be like, yay, awesome. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So you know what we did? We went and got McDonald's. That was our Valentine's Day. Check. But yeah, it's one of those days,
So let's talk about Valentine's Day real quick. But first of all, Nick, are you done with the shop? I don't want to interrupt.
No, I'm still going.
Okay, we don't care.
No, sorry. We'll get back to it.
All right, you guys ready for me to finish my shop?
Yeah, go ahead, I guess.
Finish it.
All right. Hey, so, and anyway, that's all I had going on in my shop today. Josh, what do you got going on in yours?
That's a typical Nick move. For those of you that don't know Nick very well, when I was in San Antonio, he used to do that to me all the time. It would be like, hey, Nat. I'd be like, what? He'd be like, I think you should go do that. I'd be like, mother.
No, Nap would be like, hey, I'm going to go get something to eat. And I'm like, hey, Nap, what'd be cool? He's like, what? I'm like, if you go get something to eat.
Come on, man.
Glad I thought of it.
I'd be like, I hate you so much. But you're my friend.
The holiday. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Most guys don't like it because they get kind of cornered. I think it's more for like, yeah, think about it. It's
not a bad thing.
It depends on how you look at it. But like you sometimes get home, you forgot about it because you've been busy, or you got, you did something small because you thought it was, going to be a small holiday. You agreed upon that, whatever. And, they wanted more.
If you believe that, you already, I'm just saying.
Pretty much. So, I mean, on the radio today, they were actually asking, everyone out there to name reasons why they like the holiday and the reasons they don't like the holiday. So I just found it fascinating, some of the things that people were saying on there. And like, Valentine's great for a new relationship or, dating. But, with long-term relationships, you have enough holidays on top of, your anniversaries and everything else. You guys hear about the UFOs?
Yeah, one of them was mine. I had a balloon get away from the birthday party.
Wait, hold on. I thought that was China and their Chinese weather balloons.
I was having a birthday party at the Chinese restaurant, okay? And one just flew away.
No, there was four or five altogether. They had one weather balloon, and the other they haven't came out with what the hell it is yet.
Oh, good. Most excellent. It's like one of those things. It's almost like either A, they're playing a joke on us. I'll be back. My wife's playing like freaking Jumanji or something. Like the speaker is literally vibrating through the wall, and all I hear is.
She's having a party, man. The news has been wild. This last weekend, between the Super Bowl, the UFOs, the bird flu migrating to mammals, we had peace break off the sun. What else? Earthquakes.
If I was China, you know what I would have done? I would have parked one of them weather balloons right in the middle of the Super Bowl during halftime show. Just landed that thing right down in there.
Crazy weekend. And with the crazy weekend, what I'm trying to jump into is I have answers for you that I've been trying to solve for a while myself. I am officially changing jobs in the military and have been accepted into occupational safety. So I'll be visiting Nick down there in San Antonio here in June, which means I'll be closing up shop probably, June. And I'll be down there for about 30, 35 days and be hanging out with him and learning some new stuff. I do not have a PCS date or where I'm going, just that I have been accepted, and that's going to be changing some things for myself and my family. So more to come on that, but I have an answer. I will not be in Jersey by the end of this year. So
here we go. He's going to be back at Minot. Heck yeah, let's go!
Party at Minot. We'll see, because I can honestly go anywhere. So I definitely can't stay here just because of the manning, and I've already talked to the functional about it. So long story short, got some answers. The shop will be packing, and I'll be moving before the end of the year. So it's my last year in Jersey, and we're going to make the most of it. But I'll be shutting down, I don't know, probably May, probably last orders, beginning of May. That way I can kind of close out, ship everything out, and then not have to worry about anything when I am gone. So when I get back, if I'm not having to move right away, I'll continue taking small orders until I leave. And then I might make up some cutting boards and some other stuff so I could just ship those out and sell those in Etsy when I've actually had 4 jobs in the military. Yeah, I've been bopping around a lot.
4? Hold on, I only know of 2.
Yeah, it was aircraft maintenance on both AWACS and Okinawa, E3s, B1, the B1 Lancer, and South Dakota. And then I cross-trained to become a flight engineer in C-130s, and then that's a 1 Alpha 1. I was a 1 Alpha 9 in H-60s. Went back to flight engineer on C-130s, and then on the 10, and now moving to safety. So yeah, I've been bopping around. I got 4 more years left, and then I'll be retired myself, and I can actually, do some fun outside the military. But this would be a good outside job. So OSHA for the win, I guess. So with that, what's happening in the shop? A lot more. I went to the woodworking show up in Edison, New Jersey. I took a friend of mine, Matt Millard. He's starting on his journey in Instagram. So we kind of brought him along to see, the show. And it's kind of a last minute deal. Wasn't too sure it was going. Met Oak Ridge up there, Ed, met Pete from Petrie's Workshop. Yeah, I met quite a few makers up there. It was great meeting everybody again and kind of touching base and having a good time. I got to turn for my first time. I did a wine stop and bottle stop and a pen. So that was fun. It was kind of, learning curve there for a little while, but it's actually a lot easier than I thought too. I don't know. I had a lot building on that. I'm sure there's a lot more technique and stuff I don't know, because honestly, when you turn, they had people help me set it up and whatnot and do a lot of the legwork for me. It was mostly, but that was just mostly me just turning, carving away some wood. So not a big deal, but it was fun. And I definitely want to get a lathe in the shop at some point in time, just so I can go ahead and start, knocking out some different projects that would help me, with my Etsy page and selling on the side here and there. Because it's great for scraps and stuff too. So it was a great learning curve. I definitely appreciate the instructors. A lot of hands off, which was nice. It wasn't like they weren't controlling my every move, which allowed me to kind of explore the different tools and allow me to just figure out exactly, how it works. So, and that's how I learned is hands on. So it was really nice. Didn't really get anything up there too much other than the turning. I got the sweatshirt I'm wearing now and saw stop hat because, I saw the saw stop demo. Gotta love the hot dog. And then, moving on to actually shop stuff. I've been trying to knock off some, I don't want to say, side jobs, but those jobs you get where they're like, hey, don't worry about the time, you kind of put them off. Well, I'll be getting those done. Little stuff like door plaques and stuff like that. Knocked that out, got those delivered. I just did a crate for a bottle of bottle of rum. We got that sitting up behind me. It delivers here soon. I still have that police plaque sitting behind me. I keep trying to make dates where we can get together and I can drop it off. But unfortunately, he has to be in training because he just can't leave the post he's at for whatever reason. So that's like a couple of weeks I've had that done, waiting to get picked up. Tried to deliver it personally, but it just not missing the mark. I'm already paid. It's done. So really it's on them to give me a good time and date. Projects coming up. I just got an inquiry about a major insignia shadow box. So I have to be designing that here soon and getting that out here. I have the Master Sergeant one going out at the end of the week, beginning of next week. What else? Still have the retirement trunk. That customer hasn't reached out since they had something going on with their family. I've been trying to give them time to deal with their family matters. I've been paid for the project already, and it just needs to be put together and then some trays made. So I will be reaching out here. It's been long enough where I just want to let them know that I'm waiting on this. They need to provide me with uniforms and the stuff to go in the shadow box in order for me to finish it. The shadow box is not that important because I'm going to put hinges and a lock on there per their request. They changed that last minute. But the uniforms are going to go in the lid. And I didn't want to go ahead and build the entire chest without having the uniforms so I can make it the appropriate depth on it. That way, the uniforms are not flopping around, and I can actually lay them out appropriately. So that's what's been stopping me, really. I have everything basically cut, ready, engraved. And if they cancel the order, I don't know what I'm going to do because I have a lot of money already tied into this project. So it will be pretty much, they're not going to be getting a lot of money back. They gave me a good amount of money for the project. And this being my first one, I sunk a lot more into it than it's all walnut, like every single piece of it. So it's a heavy, large trunk, very expensive, especially with the price up here. So let's hope I can finish that job. I can't see the comments right here because I'm on a roll, but I'm sure you guys will keep me informed here. What else here? 3D printing. I'm back up running with that. I figured out the new nozzle for some reason. Between that and I was printing with a different type of filament. It's more metallic in color, and I needed to be a higher temperature. So it took me a little while to get that knocked out. I just actually shipped a 3D printout. They should be getting it here within this week. And then I have a whole box of 3D prints I'll be shipping out here at the end of the week. And I've been upgrading my table saw fence with some of the 3D printing. So trial and error with that. If you know anything about the rigid fence, that sometimes it's a good fence, but sometimes you have to take the handle up and down a little bit to straighten out the fence itself. The locking mechanism is on the end, and it's going to help with that slop right there. So when I shouldn't have to move the handle up and down to fix that slop, it would be straight the entire time. Easy, Nick. At least put some lube or spin in the hand or something. There you go. What else? So yeah, also I found an old tripod for a camera that I used to have, and I realized that it's not being utilized. So I went and made a 3D part to go on top of it so I could fit my phone. So now I have a really good tripod that I could put my phone on, in addition to the other tripod I currently have in the shop. So now I'll be able to produce a little bit more different angles and stuff like that, which is going to be nice. A little less time on the production part. And then kind of circling back to where I started here is because I'll be shutting down the shop and there's going to be moving and other things. My page is going to kind of navigate a little from just projects. It's going to navigate to more like a blog style. I'll be filling you guys in what I'm doing and stuff like that. And I will be concentrating on programs this year. So I'll be learning Vectric. I'll be learning some designing programs so that I can put some SVGs and PNGs on my Etsy to sell. Passive income is the goal. So basically, I'm going to have time. I'm going to use you as an example because you just kind of went through this. So I'm going to use this time to integrate some of the stuff I've been wanting to and learn the program. So when I get the shop set up again, I'm able to dive back in and be knowledgeable in the programs I've been wanting, and also having already passive income come in. Design work on the side is going to help with that. And this will allow me to practice and get there. To incorporate that more into my daily life, I did buy an iPad with iPen, I think it's called, or iPencil. I'm not an Apple guy, so forgive me. And that is coming in handy. I'm actually doing a lot of YouTube research on the program I bought with it and trying to get, learned up on there so I can kind of start designing and stuff. For some of you, I've talked about Tinkercad CAD program. You could design stuff online. It's a CAD program. It's very easy to use. I know One Designs uses it. With the iPad, you can actually use the pen and utilize that program on there. So I'll be finishing up some designs that have been on hold, and that should be that's something I've been kind of putting it off because of time as well. So long story short, hopefully going to utilize this time to progress and get better. And I'm going to probably set up some YouTube videos as I learn. I can help you guys too. I'll put up some how-tos and things I learn as I go. Not they're going to be better than anything that's out there, but be from my perspective. And, if you watch me for, the stuff I do, well, hopefully it'd be interesting to you as well. So that's going to help my YouTube game out a little bit. I'll post some shorts and stuff like that on Instagram. That's about it. A lot going on, kind of in a holding pattern with school and everything, but I'm already learning the AFIs and everything associated that govern the job. So hopefully when I step in school, I'll know something. So that's going to be nice to have a leg up on the competition. So, a lot more going on than it has been, and it's kind of nice. I have some answers, which is really nice. And I can already kind of foresee what's going to happen in the next 4 years or maybe longer. If I really like this job, which I think I will. I'm going to stay in for longer than 20. So who knows? Future's bright, as they say. With that, let's toss it over to Nap and see what he's doing in his shop.
Quite a bit going on, and of course the door is open. Damn cat pushed the door open, but whatever. Animals, children, whatever. It is what it is. Pulling up the planner here because I've had quite a few things happen. Let's see. So laser engraved photo, I finished it. I just got to put a frame on it, put a couple extra accoutrements on it, and send it on its way. I got an order from San Antonio for something I had made previously for a customer, and just because they know I made it the first time, that it's just easy for me to make it a second time. I'm actually starting to get on the radar here a little bit more. I've got folks reaching out to me for signage, going away plaques, and those things. So I will say what Nick started doing more of as I left San Antonio is something I'm getting more into now. Because people just they do like the way acrylic looks. Some folks are, Josh is just now getting some of these things that we've seen earlier, and the faces and the laughter is keying in right now. But I'm starting to make some more plaques with acrylic and wood medium. I'm going to take a couple endeavors into some stuff I haven't done before. One of which is doing like a spinning going away. So apparently this individual's worked for both squadrons there, so it's going to have both sides. One side will have one squadron, one side will have the other, and essentially this will turn in the middle, so it'll have a rotating piece in the middle. So I don't know if it's going to be with motors, if it's just going to be like a hand turn type thing. I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure that guy out. I started working with acrylic and trying to figure out how to do lithograph type deals. So you guys have seen like people where they get the light up stands and, they'll do like an image or something like that. And when it lights up, you see the people's faces. Well, so like right now as it stands and I look at this from this angle, I perfectly see their faces in the picture. But like currently, if I were to just show you like this, it's all blurry and whatnot. But when it lights up from a certain angle, you can actually see what you can't really see in there. YouTube might be able to, but I can actually see their faces. Like I can actually see facial features and know who they are. So still working on that. I'm going to figure out how much more, I'll say dots per inch or whatever I got to figure out. But that was something we talked about on the last podcast that I ended up diving into, which was pretty cool. Another job that I got hit with, this is not like, so a lot of these jobs aren't right away things. So a lot of these things are towards the end of the month. So I'm figuring things out as I go. I'm actually going to be doing some more lathe work, actually getting into it more. So Ammo Chief was like, hey, can you make these bullets? Well, first question he asked was, how good of a woodworker are you? I said, really, Chief? And he goes, all right, well, here, can you make these? I was like, yeah, I got a lathe. I'm sure I can figure it out. Well, I remember my buddy Nick Coffey over in San Antonio. He had this thing called a repeater on his lathe for his duck calls because he makes duck calls. And I was like, well, that would actually be something solid because if I remake these bullets over and over, because he says he wants a few of them, one, it would look really stupid if they all looked a different size. Okay, it just would. Like, oh, wow, you were a little off on this one, Nap. This one looks good, but that one's like a whole half inch shorter. What'd you do? So I would like
it's cold outside, that's why.
Yeah, right. I mean, shoot, why not? You put a bullet outside, I'm sure it would shrink. But I'm going to do this repeater thing. And the best thing about this is it takes acrylic templates. And what do I have that can make my own templates? I have a damn laser. So I can go ahead and measure this out. Make a couple templates that I think would suffice. And then I'll give them a whirl on some pine or something real quick just to see how they work out. And then when I'm happy with the desired template, I will then go ahead and do them out of hardwood. More than likely cherry. I actually have some 2x2 inch mahogany that I picked up full free. So I might do the first few out of mahogany since they're already pretty much in square blank form.
You could do also, I mean, like it's going to a little bit more work, but you could do 2 types of wood. So you can...
I thought about that too, actually. So that was the next part of this. So I was actually going to throw it to you guys and see what you think. Josh, you kind of already answered the question. However, what I'm trying to figure out, because my last, we'll call it fiasco with a lathe where I used 2 types of wood was, well, one, I didn't let the damn glue dry all the way. My fault. I thought it was good enough. It was not. But how it is I'm going to attach these two pieces of wood, if I'm going to be doing end grain to end grain, which we know is fairly strong. I've seen the tests and the science behind it. It works just fine. However, would you guys dowel it? Would you guys put some kind of threaded screw in there to keep it strong? So when you're turning it, there's no chance of separation. What would you guys do in that case if you were to do two types of wood? If I did like a walnut shell with a cherry, but would you put anything in the middle for more stability or not?
No, I'd glue up the billet, and I would build my template to where the template is like, so you're cutting all the same size billets, right? And
yeah, so it'd be however tall this is. It's probably damn near a foot tall.
For the bullet. Right?
Freaking Victor says, domino. I wish I had a domino. I'm not buying one for this particular project.
So, lack of experience on turning, but because of that, I would do something other than just gluing it. I would probably do the dowel, or I would do something just to give me a peace of mind. It's not going to hurt anything.
What are you talking about? You just talking about having two tones in a carve, right? In a lathe.
Yeah. So essentially, like it'd be, let's say this is the billet. Like, not this isn't a bullet, but like let's say from here to here was walnut, from here to here was cherry.
Yeah.
And it was just a square billet.
Well, so that's what I would do is I'd make the same size square billet, but I would make one shorter than the other. Obviously, the slug.
Yeah.
And then I would just engineer my jig to where each time I do this process, right, my cuts are going to be the same length, and the jig works to where you carve it in the shape of the shell casing on one wood, and then it starts the projectile on the other wood. I think, and that's just glued up. You're going to have to leave it overnight, though. It's not going to be a fast process, but that glue will hold. That's how people make bowls and cups and all that stuff,
If you dowel it, it'd be more secure, regardless. If you're worried about it, what's it gonna take to drill two holes?
Not a whole lot. And Jason goes, do two pieces. So I thought about that too, and screw it together. So I could do a threaded screw and literally like screw the pieces together if I really felt some sort of way about it. Definitely a possibility. I think I'm going to explore both options. I'll dowel one piece together and see what happens. But I also need to first make the jig. So I need to buy this repeater jig. It's from Penn State Industries. That's what Nick Coffey just sent me. So I'm kind of looking through it right now because, like I said, he just takes an acrylic or wooden blank, puts it on there, and his damn chisel follows the guide. So
Nick Coffey still, I still have some glass I made. I etched for him. He's got to come pick that stuff up.
I'm sure he does.
2 weeks ago.
And I'm gonna tell him right now, hey man, on the podcast, need to pick up some glass.
Yeah, seriously, man.
But
I'm like, I don't mind. I'm just saying, I hope your customers are cool with it.
I'm sure they are. He would have already, at this point, if he was getting tagged for it, he'd already been in your house to get it. It's obviously not like a huge rush job, or else he would have already gotten it. Just because I've done it for him in the past. But anyways, so that's the more interesting project I'll say I'm coming up on, because one, I get to use the 3 brand new chisels that were recommended to me by Jake Thompson. From Jake's Cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons. He does the resin art or resin cast molds in his pressure cooker for folks. He gives them away. It's the same ones that I have on my desk over here with the burl. So I'm gonna go ahead and mess with those chisels, mess with the lathe, which will be pretty neat. I have a slab currently in my garage. So I've actually picked up slab work as far as carving slab signs for folks. Same customers last time. He's paying me this time, not in wood, but with cash. I'm going to take a slab and I'm going to carve some verbiage in it for him. He bought like a whole RV park or something like here. So the sign that I made, the first one I made for him is the headliner. Like that's the, hey, this is my RV and campsite sign. And then below it's going to be like the address and all that stuff, which is going to be pretty cool. Yeah, and that's a good point, Jason. And that's why I'm going to entertain both 2 pieces and 1 piece for that lathe project. Let's see. I also got another order from, we'll say, the boss's wife. She wants me to do some cool stuff for their dining room table, which I thought was a pretty neat idea. So, the boss made chief, so, he's got all the ranks. And what she wants me to do is she wants me to like little like placeholders for their table. And on the back of each one of the ranks, it's going to have like when they made the rank and like what base or jet their aircraft they were on or something. And the stems of those whole little placeholders or whatever will be like bombs, missile, shape of an aircraft, whatever the case may be. Something new, something different. I've been getting a lot of that here, a lot of something new, a lot of something different, little different knickknacks and whatnot to make. So that'll be cool. And then I'm also laser etching some glasses and stuff like that, which has been pretty neat. Etsy hasn't gotten any hits since the first two orders. That's fine. I got people looking at it. So people are looking. It's there. Like, it's just a matter of when someone wants to pull the trigger on it. I may lower the price just a little bit. I might be pricing myself out of the market, but then again, I find it hard to believe that I am, because there's people that are using the same material, charging the same amount for less, and they've got sales. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm going to chill for a little bit longer and see what happens.
How are they charging the same amount for less?
No. I'm saying they are charging the same amount for the same material.
Okay.
So, like, if I'm doing oak and it's X amount of dollars, they're also doing something oak for $400, but they're also doing not as much detail. That's what I mean. So, like, there's just like, let's just say it's just a Chevron box, right? They're charging this much, but I'll do this other stuff, but for the same price. You know what I mean? So people aren't seeing, I don't know if people are putting two and two together, but I'll wait and see for a few more weeks just to see what happens. And if nothing happens, it's fine. I'll just take the post down in May when, the Etsy stuff crashes. What's my Etsy? My Etsy is, I think it's, I got to make sure it's the right thing. Because I don't, obviously, it's in my link tree as well. If you go there, but it's Naps Naughty Works. Oh, actually, sorry. It's Naps Naughty Worka LLC. Apparently, is that an S? That's really small. It is an S. Okay, it looked like an A. I was like, what in the world is happening here? It said Naps Naughty Worka LLC. That would have been funny. You can find out what we're doing with this. Brass and wood and the bullet and resin. See, that would be really cool, too. You're giving me a lot of good ideas. I don't like you right now, Jason, because now I want to go make a silicone billet mold and maybe mess with that. I don't know. We'll see. Because this one right here is technically two pieces. You got the brass, and then you got this guy. So it looks like they did the jaw. They did the jaws on this to hold it, and then they lathed it, So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Lots of good ideas. But other than that, not a whole lot more going on in the shop. I wanted to get out there tonight. I do have some of those Mount 12 side plate things I got to make. I unfortunately think one of the individuals that's leaving the Air Force may not get one because Amazon's taking forever and a day to get certain things here. And, of course, the day I'm supposed to get one of those things is Friday, and they're gone Thursday. So I'm going to have to make an audible here and somehow make something tomorrow for this individual leaving. So there's that. But, yeah. So that's all I got really going on in the shop. Not a whole lot more than that. Oh, safety tip. Okay, got a safety story. Okay, I know I'm talking a lot, but I don't know about you guys, but there's a lot of annoying things that can happen in the shop. One of those annoying things is you use PPE 99.9% of the time. And yes, folks, I do wear glasses and or goggles in the shop 99.9% of the time because sawdust flies everywhere. The one effing time that didn't wear safety goggles, I was blowing this pocket out on a CNC after it had gotten done. I was like, let me blow this dust out of here so I can put this revolver on here and make sure that it sits right. Yeah, no. As soon as I did that, it literally did like a little circular wind tunnel thing. Bounced off the inside of this thing. He'd be right in the eyeball. From Saturday to Monday, I had some shit in my eye. And it couldn't get it out. I was like, okay, I used a saline solution, did all the things, and it was just irritating. It looked like I got punched in the eye. People thought I partied too hard because of the Super Bowl. All the things. They thought I was jacked up. I was like, yeah, I am jacked up. My eye's messed up right now. Yeah, so no matter what, I don't care what it is. put goggles or glasses on, because you can end up like me and have a 3 days of discomfort.
When are we gonna have safety week again?
I'm about to be safety, so it's going to be my lifestyle.
He's gonna tell us all about it. But yeah, and it was walnut, so I got an expensive owie. All right, it's terrible.
Oh, Jason, I painted some walnut too on this plaque over here.
You know it's from another episode, right? I'm gonna have to beat you.
Yep. You want to see it?
I'm gonna tell AJ to beat you because he knows better.
No. So I used some scrap I had from a resale, and it fit perfectly, everything on there. I wasn't going to initially paint the walnut piece, but I wasn't going to create an entire new laser cut in order for that to happen. So a byproduct of that.
Ooh, I did finish a flag too. I forgot to mention that. Finished a flag. I don't know if I sent you guys pictures of it, but
yeah. So upcoming events for Sawdust Nation, right? So we have, we're going to be down in Atlanta, Georgia for the Workbench Con. We're going to, all three of us be there. The last, me knowing where my school is, I don't have to worry about missing that because that was a concern there for a while. But yeah, we're all three going to be one place. PWNC&C, our sponsor. Daniel's going to be there with his own booth, and it's going to be a great time. It is expensive, so if you don't see you there, we totally understand. But if you are going, please hit us up. Because while we're there, we'd like to do a dinner for everyone that listens to the podcast and follows us and wants to hang out. I think we should go out and have a good old meal together, talk shop, and see everyone face to face. Would be pretty nice. Just going to throw that out there, and hopefully it sticks and we can get that knocked out and have a good time while doing it. Our last prize winner from our monthly giveaway got their prize delivered today. So we're waiting to hear back of that. They got some setup blocks, and honestly, I might order the same set for myself because it definitely came with more options than what I currently have. And they're worth having in the shop. I use them all the time. From your table saw to your router to your bandsaw, they definitely help. So if you're not showing up on our monthly lives, the first Tuesday of the month at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you're missing out. You can win some great stuff. I know we did have a topic we were kind of discussing. Are we ready to talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about grain and how wood moves and how it's a battle for every woodworker from the beginner to the expert. Let's go. I know Nap was doing his research. He kind of, hit on it last episode. So let's start off with him and then work it around the table.
all right. So I did a little research as far as the types of cuts. So a lot of wood movement comes from the different types of cuts of wood that there are. For most woodworkers, when you're looking at different wood grains, you can typically tell how wood's going to move just based on how that is alone. So how many of you in this little thing, little chat, little here, have picked something that's been close to the heartwood? Josh, what's happened? Nick, what's happened when you introduced heartwood to an extremely humid area and then gone and taken it to a completely dry area?
You're talking about the pith, right?
Yeah.
Sure. You're using terminology I don't even know. I just know that it bows.
Yeah. So you're going to get a cup or a bowl. You're better use off for that. I think everyone has experienced that at some point in time. And hopefully you'll learn your lesson.
Here's what normally I find is you get a great deal on some really exotic wood or something, and you're like, man, I made out. And then you get home and you're like, fuck, or crap, I got taken because it was such a great price because it was the heartwood, or it was the pith, PITH. And normally that's the dead center of the tree, and it is the most unstable portion of the wood, and it definitely likes to do the whole potato chip wonky twist kind of thing. And next thing you know, whatever you built, whether it be a plaque or a table, hopefully not a table, but
actually I've done that, and that was my first thing, and I learned the hard way.
And you're like, man, this thing was square when I put it together. Now it's all wobbly. Yeah, that's why, because if you have pith wood in there, it's going to start to twist on you.
That can happen with, any kind of board. especially if you don't alternate grain. I know I'm kind of getting into other stuff here, but that is one of the number one posts I see on woodworking pages. I built a table, and all of a sudden it's cupped, it's bowed, the corner's sticking up, and all that. And that's why I think we're diving into this, is because like if it hasn't happened to you, you're lucky. Luckily, I learned a lot about it when I was using pine. And, that's a cheap lesson compared to what Nick here is hitting on. Out of curiosity, what type of wood was it that you're referring to there, Nick?
So my kitchen table is made with a plank of 8-quarter walnut pithwood.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh.
And it has not moved, thank God. But I got lucky. But
how dry was it?
What's that?
Did you,
it was dry. It was dry. It was like years and months dry. So when I milled it.
Sorry,
what?
I don't mean to interrupt. But do you have a reader? Do you actually take measurements of the wood?
A moisture meter? No, I did not use a moisture meter. And the only reason I did not use a moisture meter was because this plank I bought in New Jersey, and it had already been kiln dried. Mm-hmm. And then it sat in my garage for over a year and a half in Jersey. Then I brought it down to Texas, and it sat there for another 8 months, and it still hadn't moved. So I felt pretty confident that it was stable enough to use it. But regardless, I didn't recognize that it was pithwood until I actually went to glue up, and I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So I did it anyway, and I haven't seen any issues. But you never know. I mean, I could end up moving the table into a new environment, and it could twist on me. Hopefully
different
not.
humidity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So on that as well, you get those types of woods from different cuts of wood. Most people are more familiar with stuff like plain sawn or quarter sawn wood. You don't really see much, and I had to look this one up just because I couldn't remember the name of it. But most people don't deal with rift sawed wood. It's not very common. But then there's also live sawn. And just real quick, going over the different ones. So plain sawn is like, so we're looking at a tree, okay, looking at let's say just looking at the bottom of it, looking at the stump, we'll say. And from that, you have the grain rings that go over the top, the bottom, and the sides. Those ones are cut parallel to those growth lines. So like if you were to take that tree and punch the center out like a core, now they do cut the center up, but let's say you punch the center out like a core, and you went ahead and you did, okay, I'm going to cut these this way, I'm going to cut these this way, I'm going to cut the bottom ones into slats. That's a plain sawn. That's their most common type of wood. And that's when we were talking about when you're looking at the rings, the closer to the heartwood. So some of those plain sawn, and yes, and Josh is pulling, it's kind of blurry in this thing right now, but if you look it up online, it's pretty quick and easy to find. But that'll show you what a plain sawn is. And then you got quarter sawn. So quarter sawn is when it's perpendicular. That's actually the most stable. That's something you're not typically going to get that's going to do a lot of bow cupping, or as Nick called it, the pift, right? Is it the?
Yes.
Yeah.
P-I-T-H. Pith.
Pith. Thank you. That's how they said pith. So pith. Pith. There we go. You won't get that as often with quarter sawn because quarter sawn is that perpendicular. They're literally cutting across it rather than with it. And you're not going to get a lot of movement this way. But rather, you'll actually get movement outwards. So wood movement doesn't just happen in a cupping or bowing type motion. It actually moves side to side and can actually expand and contract. Is it shrink and contract, right? Contract, expand, whatever. The opposite
expand
of
expansion. And contract, yes.
Thank you. I'm kind of dumb right now. That's fine. But what'll happen is like, for example, with Nick's table and also a table I've made, I had wood shrink and I had it expand on me, and it literally cracked at every seam. Well, one, because I didn't glue it because it was my first table, and I was very, very green behind the ears, so to speak, when it came to making things out of wood. But that thing was all sorts of wonky after some of that wood movement. And that's very important when it comes to framing in pieces of wood. So if you make a panel and you frame it, knowing wood growth and movement is extremely important so you don't get a crack in one of your seams. And then you got the rift sawn stuff. So the rift sawn stuff, it's neither parallel or perpendicular. It's just a posh of cuts. And then live sawn, which you'll see very often with your slab work. They literally just put that sucker on a wood miser and they just, boom, make slabs out of it. That's your live sawn, and what you get's what you get. Some are stable, some are not. It just depends. But those are the different types of cuts of wood. A little bit about maybe like how they could affect your projects. What about you guys? Like as far as like types of wood you've dealt with, but yeah, so you guys have seen a lot of plane sawn. Have you guys specifically ever used quarter sawn wood before, or like asked for that, or looked for it, or sought it out?
To be honest with you, for the most part, I never really asked for any type of wood. I mean, like in the beginning, I would look at the board, I would make the judgment, especially after I've seen a couple things cup. I didn't know about the terms. And then as I progressed, I started learning from both the lumberyard and from my own research and some of the talks we've had on the podcast regarding AJ, yourself, and Nick about the different types of cuts. And, now I'll go through a whole pile of boards to get the stuff I need based on my experience. It's something I wish I would have known in the beginning. I'll just go ahead and say that. So I'm hoping this helps somebody out there because like I just made a poll in our chat over here. I sold the table and I did everything in my power to make sure that didn't cup or anything. And it went from New Jersey to South Carolina in a day. And it was dry. I put the moisture meter on there. I forget the actual measurement, but I usually don't do anything unless it's like 10, 12% at most. And one of the sides cupped up on it. I did, anticipate it a little bit, thinking that, it might happen. And I put adjustable feet on the bottom so they could account for that. But regardless, it was kind of disappointing to see that happen. And I went from New Jersey down a warmer climate because it was winter here. And then it was obviously much warmer down there. And they said they put the table up and within a week, they saw it just slowly start rising. So that's my personal experience. And with that, I dived into the research more so. But Nick?
So if you find yourself in a situation where you have like a massive like that, or you find yourself in a situation where you start to see the wood start to rise or cup and stuff, what you can do to combat that is put splines in the backside. And that should help a little bit if it's wood splines. If you're using like steel splines, that'll help keep it straight. Just as long as, I've seen people do it a couple different ways where they route grooves into the backside of a table, like the underside, and they put steel splines in there. And a lot of times those are like the mounts for steel legs. But that'll help mitigate some of that, but it's not going to get rid of it all. You still might have a little bit of wobble, but and then if the piece is just completely jacked, then you're going to have to start with square one.
With that, so I made a lot of panels. I don't necessarily make tables or nothing like that, but I do a lot of panels. If you guys notice, like the shadow boxes and whatnot. And I know, yes, I make a lot of doo-doo, Nick, of course. Have you guys found ways to combat the cupping or the bowing? Now I have, but I just want to see what you guys have to say. Other than putting it in AJ's garage and putting it up against the table and watching it magically go flat again, what tricks of the trade do you guys have?
So it depends on the panel. If I see it having a cup or a bow in there, you could always cut it and get rid of that bow and then re-glue the panel up. It takes a little bit more time and it allows you to still utilize the wood. I've done that in the past when I'm time limited. That's one way I could think of right off the bat that, you could definitely solve that issue. I don't know. Nick, what do you have to say?
I mean, I already mentioned I spline it if I have to, but
larger pieces though, right? You're not going to use it for.
Well, you can spline smaller pieces if you like a wall plaque that's starting to curl on you, like a potato chip, or I mean, you can even do that. It just depends on how. So you got to do the math on, is it worth it to start over, or is it going to be like, how much time did you put into this piece? Now, if I have a plaque that's pretty much already done and I've spent hours getting everything just right on it, and I'm not talking about just like a laser etched piece of wood. I'm talking about something that has a lot of like ornamentation on it and whatnot. Then I'll spline the backside of it, and that should help keep it flat against the wall when it's hanging. Yeah, something that takes that long. Like you have a lot of time invested into the piece, and it would be perfect otherwise, except for the wood movement. Then why not spend the extra half hour to save yourself that however long it took to make that piece again.
So I will piggyback on that great Air Force term that we all love. Any table I build here on out, or any large panel I build over a certain size, I will spline in some way or form, just to prevent that issue happening again. Because, you can rely on luck, but wood moves regardless of how dry it is and how long it's been sitting. And I never want to sell a project to someone and have that issue ever again. Because going back to that table, the feeling I had in my gut when they showed me the pictures, it's not worth. It's worth me spending a little extra time and love and care to throw something in there to prevent that.
I think
it is what it is.
What percentage of moisture do you operate with the wood on, or do you just wait? What percentage on the moisture meter?
So I'm not going to lie, the stuff I get from like Diamond Lumber, I usually don't measure, just because it's been sitting. I know it's, pretty dry. I don't use a lot of pine or much from like Lowe's or Home Depot. But the slabs and stuff I get, I definitely take readings off that. And I don't want, like I said before, I'm not going to operate over 12%. That's pushing the limit for me. And partly because I am in a high humidity area, it could take a long time for slabs to sometimes lose that moisture. And it also depends on the furniture or the piece I'm making as well. So if I'm making a smaller plaque out of a slab and I have to produce that down, I'm probably going to go ahead and do that 10-12%. If I'm making a table or something that needs to be kind of stable, it's going to be the lower percentage if I get it there, personally.
Well, a couple of tricks I have, because I unfortunately dealt with a lot of this when I was in Texas. So first and foremost, when you set up your panels for gluing, alternate your grain. That's like 101 type stuff. And that's just, I know I almost find it to be a myth at times, because if you're doing a glue up and you're doing 3 panels, the middle panel is, going to be your focal point for a bend or a cup or whatever you want to call it. So typically the rule of thumb with that is, if you're going to panel things up, I've heard things like doing a 5. You can do a 3 if they're thinner boards, but making a 5 panel or 5 boards for a panel alternating, because you have a less chance of it having a severe cup. You might have a couple of small, this, that, and the other, but you can plane that down. See, I'll also think about how wide the pieces are, which was what I was going with there. But
I think,
and then also how thin, thickness can play a factor. But oh my god,
I want to bring something up that I think is important for everybody, and I hate to cut you off, but it all starts with prep. Like, you buy your planks, all that stuff, right? You store them. If you're doing everything right, if you put stickers in between your planks when they're in storage, so first off, it's not smart to use wood that you just brought home. You want to let that wood acclimate to your shop anywhere from like a week to 2 weeks. And then once you mill that wood, then you want to give it another few days to reacclimate, because you're shaving off the layers of dry wood and exposing the more moisture from underneath. And then it could potentially start to move again. At that point, then it's safe to run it through the sander or the drum sander or the planer again one more time, just to kind of get it nice and flat. And then obviously, now this is for larger projects if you're doing a table, but if you're doing a plaque, it's not going to play as much since we don't use that large of planks. But if you're doing like furniture, you definitely want to do your due diligence and let that wood acclimate before you start fucking with it, before you start messing with it, you know? That should alleviate a lot of issues that you'll find, especially on rough sawn lumber. Now, rough sawn lumber is going to be something that, you know, is ugly. And then you obviously, if you don't know, you're going to take the ugliness and give it the beautiful grain by sending it through the planer and then let it acclimate again. So that's all. I'm going to get off my soapbox. Go ahead, Nap. Sorry.
Took the wind out of my sails. How dare you? No, I'll just give my last tidbit, I guess. So typically after I put the stuff together, so I've had this happen a lot in Texas. So this is where I was going with it. I've had boards together and I've had severe cupping. I've had where I've surfaced it and I've gotten a cup because of heat or moisture, whatever the case may be. Now, those things play a factor in what could happen. Now, how do you fix it? Well, funny thing is when you have a bend, a bow, a cup, whatever the fuck you want, whatever you want to call it. Okay. If let's say I'm looking at a board and it's cupped upwards. Okay. Let's say it's sitting on a table, it's cupped upwards. So the edges of your panel are pointing to the ceiling. Hopefully not literally, because I've never seen that. That would just be awful. But that means that that side of the board, the moisture had evaporated faster than the underside could. So how I have fixed that. Okay, now this is very important because if you do this and you do it wrong, you're actually going to get moldy wood. That's happened to me, especially with oak. Take a spray bottle and you actually spray that side of the wood. Once you spray that side of the wood, it'll actually reintroduce moisture back to your panel and it'll flatten it back out. But also very important is to put the stickers, as Nick said, when it comes to wood prep. You put stickers under there so that way the underside of it is still evaporating. If you're under a time crunch, you wet the side that's cupped and you heat the side is the arc. So if you flip it over, now it looks like an arc. You heat that side so it evaporates that side. Now, mind you, this still takes time, but instead of maybe cutting it apart and re-gluing it and possibly dealing with the same issue, you can just wet it slightly, wipe off the excess water, let that evaporate naturally, heat the other side for 5 to 10 minutes until it's hot to the touch, and then leave it be for 20 minutes. It'll flatten your board right back out. That's stuff I've done in the past, but sometimes if you overdo it, you actually then go the other way, and then you got to repeat the process. The only thing to caution here is when you introduce moisture and heat to wood, eventually it could split the wood because you're damaging the fibers in that wood. So it's not something you do over and over and over because you actually fatigue it and you will generate what they call, a check or a crack or whatever you want to call it. You will actually develop that because in the weakest part of the wood, it will separate. I had it happen. All things I've tried, done, tested, and it works, but if you're not careful, it could end in catastrophe. So use that with caution. But other than that, as Nick said, and I'm not going to reiterate, but prep. That's really all there is to it when it comes to this kind of stuff. Do you mill it all the way down to final size before glue up? No, I do not anymore. I'll actually glue it up when it's maybe a 1/16 of an inch, maybe an 1/8 of an inch, and I send it through my 2550 sander, and that'll be the final straw after the glue up. So typically I'll do my glue up, let it cure and whatnot, and then I'll do my final milling after the fact.
So that's if you have, that's relative to size and capability of what you
correct. Yes. So. Nick has moldy wood apparently.
I got Fremunda cheese growing on mine.
So during this conversation, you heard different ways to basically prevent by choosing the right types of wood, how we've messed up in the past, how we fixed it, how we continue to improve our process to fix and prevent. But you could do all these things and it still happen to you. So it's a battle that every woodworker does, from both the beginner to the expert. Hopefully some of these tips will help you. Preparation is key, as Nick said. So hopefully this little tidbit, this little topic helped you guys, and you don't have to deal with it as much as we have and take lessons learned. But with that, I think we should wrap this episode up, starting with Nick.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for some aftermarket parts for your CNC machine, please check out pwncnc.com. They are our biggest sponsor. And if you want 10% off your order, go ahead and use promo code SAWDUSTNATION981, and that'll give you 10% off your entire order. Also, we want to thank Total Boat for their continued support. If you want a promo code for them, I think we can get you 10% off if you slide into our DMs on Instagram, and we'll hook you up. Likewise, I want to thank our affiliates, makerstock.com, as well as OMTech. You guys rock. With that, I'm going to kick it on over to Nap.
Yes, check it out. If you're listening to us on the Apple Podcast, Spotify, Pandora, any of those places that you catch the podcast, go give us 5 stars. And if you don't give us 5 stars, tell us why you didn't. Because if you don't tell us why you didn't like our content and why you only gave us, anything other than 5 stars, then we can't give you the content that you deserve. And even if you give us 5 stars, let us know how we're doing. Give us topics, give us questions, give us those things to talk about during the podcast so we can make it interesting for you. And Josh, if they want to get hold of us, how do they do that?
It's easy, folks. It's like every other week. If you have Instagram, go ahead and slide into our DMs. Sawdust Nation Podcast and Instagram, easy way to get a hold of us. You can reach us all there. We'll answer when we get to. And you never know who you're going to get, so that's half the fun. But if you have a question for us individually, you can start off by reaching Nap at Nap's Nutty Works LLC, Nick from MPG Creations, or myself, Josh from North Country Woodworking. With that, if you don't like Instagram or social media in general, that's fine too. Go ahead and reach us at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com and slide into our email. Leave a voicemail for the podcast, your rants, your raves about different products or different aspects of woodworking, or, products that you love. Let's hear about it so we can talk about it. And lastly, if you absolutely love the podcast and want to be a part of it, do what our Patreons do. Subscribe. Go on Patreon, subscribe to the 3rd tier, and you too get to watch us live, add to the conversation with topic ideas and questions, or even your own experience, like Jason, Victor, other patrons that end up joining during the podcast. So we hope to see you there. With that, final words, starting off with Nap.
Yeah, folks. So, hey, check it out. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Keep adding to the podcast. It helps keep adding to the community. Josh went off for a little bit. I know it's not the same as it used to be, but it could be. All you need to do is open up and keep adding to the community, not taking from the community, because it's only what makes us stronger. All right, that's all I got. Until next time. Nick, what you got?
Well, I got a joke for you, Nap.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, so before I sign off, why was 6 afraid of 7? Well, most people think because 7, 8, 9, but actually it's because 7. And with that, take care of yourselves and each other. Until next time. Josh.
That was actually relatively clean, but terrible at the same time.
I don't even know if I can keep that or not, to be fair. So, stepping away from my normal sign out, I will harp on this one more time. Regardless, if you have 100K followers, 1 follower, it doesn't matter. If you're on Instagram, a woodworker or a maker in general, help each other out. That's what the community was based on and should be based on here on forth until, Instagram dies. So, with that, hope you're listening to the podcast where you're going to work, having that cup of coffee, in the gym, in the shop, so we can whisper in your ear and go out there and make some sawdust. Sawdust Nation Podcast out.
Okay, bye.
Is he a DJ now?
No, he's talking to my boss.
Hey guys, I got to bounce. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.